Hey, so at the time of this recording, it is the first of Ramadan. Ramadan, for those of you who don't know, is the month in which Muslims fast for 30 days from beginning of the day before the sun rises until sunset. So where we are here in Toronto, Canada, it's about I don't know, 4:30 a.m. until 8:30 p.m. So what is that, like a 16-hour fast? It's a long fast, okay? And so we do this for 30 days. And we do it every year. And every year I learn something new about myself and about life and, believe it or not, about business. And this year in particular, it's only the first, but there's three particular lessons that I'm learning that I wanted to share with you. The first is that anything that's worth doing requires preparation. Okay, anything that's worth doing requires preparation. So fasting for 30 days is a major undertaking emotionally, physically, spiritually. Like it's hard work. It's very exhausting. So you've got to prepare for that. And what would happen to me in the past is before I was adequately prepared for fasting Ramadan, I would kind of come into the month, just kind of stumble into it. It's like, oh, I guess we're fasting today. And I made no preparations in my schedule or my routine or my diet or my exercise or my sleep, no preparation whatsoever. In the first week or so, would be a total disaster. Like it completely be, out of commission. I mean, sleeping most of the day, taking lots of naps and just really, really struggling just to function. And it wasn't until, second or third week that I'd finally start to get adjusted. And by then it's almost over. This year, what I've done and what I've tried to do, in the recent past is prepare myself. So what do? I quit coffee at least a couple of weeks in advance because the combination of not having coffee and not having food or water tends to be pretty challenging. So I quit coffee earlier on, a month in advance, or at least a couple of weeks in advance, so I get that out of my system. I deal with that in advance. And then I start intermittent fasting. So I start skipping breakfast and skipping lunch, and just getting my body used to having less calories to draw energy from. So that when I'm fasting for real in Ramadan, it's not like a huge shock to the system. I'm kind of used to going throughout the day without food. And then I slowly start curbing my water intake. So I start drinking less and less water, right? Smaller sips, less volume, so that when I remove water from my diet, again, it doesn't shock my system. So now, I gotta say, this is probably the first time ever that first of Ramadan, the first fast, we're like, at the time of recording, this is about 2 o'clock. It's a good chunk into the day. I should be hitting that afternoon dip. I feel fantastic because I've done all that preparation for the fast. So that's the first thing. Anything worth doing requires preparation. Second is your attitude drives your experience. So I know a lot of people who unfortunately have a pretty negative attitude towards fasting Ramadan, as if someone's forcing them to do it. They're doing it out of their own choice, but got a bit of a negative attitude, right? Oh, I'm gonna be hungry, oh, I'm gonna be tired, oh, I'm gonna be thirsty, work is gonna be so difficult. And guess what happens? That's what they experience, right? They're hungry and they're thirsty and work is difficult because that's their attitude. That's what they focus on. What you focus on expands. So if you're focused on the hunger and the thirst and the fatigue, then that's what you'll experience, right? And this is true for anything in business. What you focus on expands. If you're focused on your lack of clients, lack of cash flow, lack of revenue, lack of interesting work, you focus on the nightmare clients, you focus on the pains you're experiencing, you focus on all the terrible things that you don't like about your business, well, guess what? That's what's going to expand. You notice how when you're shopping for a new car, and you've got a car in mind that you want to buy, and then all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere. Well, it's not just that overnight, more of these cars were hitting the road. It's that's what you focused on, that's what you've seen, right? So you're thinking about that car, you start to see it everywhere. Well, same thing applies to your business. You're focused on the negative, you're focused on the bad things that you don't like, and then you tend to experience more of those things, right? So your attitude is what drives your experience. And the third thing is that you're capable of far more than you give yourself credit for. This is the lesson that anybody that's fasted the month of Ramadan will tell you is 100% true. You're far more capable of what you give yourself credit than what you give yourself credit for. Whenever I tell people that I'm fasting and we're not drinking water or anything for 16 hours, they think I could never do that. They'll say, I could never do that. But it's not true. You can. I do it. Billions of people around the world do it, right? It's very possible. You just don't know it's possible. You don't know that you're capable of it because you haven't tried yet. The same is true in your business. There's lots of things that you don't think you're capable of, and it's not because you're not capable of doing those things. It's not because you're not capable of recording videos or writing interesting content or charging higher fees or working with better clients. It's not because you literally cannot do these things. You just don't believe you're capable of doing them because you haven't tried doing them yet. So fasting this month, one of the big lessons for everybody that does it, and hopefully for you as well, is that you're actually capable of way more than you give yourself credit for, if only you give yourself permission to try new things. So I hope that helps. 3 lessons that I'm learning from fasting the month of Ramadan. First of all, anything worth doing requires preparation. You gotta prepare if it's worth doing. Secondly, your attitude drives your experience. If you're negative, you will experience negative things. If you're positive, you'll experience positive things. And thirdly, you are capable of far more than you give yourself credit for. Just give yourself permission to try and you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish. Hope that helps. Any questions or comments, drop them below. Happy to help. Cheers.